Everyone has a favorite something, a favorite YouTuber, a favorite food, a favorite wife, but I'm gonna focus on a favorite subject of mine today. Call me the barista at a Starbucks because I'm about to deliver the biggest, foamiest yappuccino you've ever listened to. What am I yapping about? I'm glad you asked, you poor individual who's being forced to watch this video by the algorithm. Fear me! What I'm ranting about is my favorite band, AJR. If you had asked me at any point in my life what my favorite type of music was or what my favorite band was, I would always say something pretty vague or ambiguous like, oh, you know, multiple genres, or I guess I like the bands that play in the car. I remember that my school would give us this little sheet of paper every time we moved up a grade that borderline interrogated us, asking us a ton of specific questions that describe us as a person, and for the longest time, I was only ever confident about a few of my answers, like what my favorite color was and what TV shows I enjoyed, but the rest were usually either something vague or just what I thought people would believe was cool, because I'm a sheep, and not because I actually enjoyed those things most of the time, if at all. The most notable example of this being my taste in music. I would always just list whatever band my sister, mom, or dad listened to, like Taylor Swift, Imagine Dragons, American Rejects, and so on. Yeah, I used to be a Swiftie. Now, these are all great artists, and I do still like some of their works, but by no means am I hyper-fixated on them, or let alone a major fan of them. They were all I was exposed to, so I had no real options to form an opinion, let alone a favorite. I like them a lot, but I didn't fixate on them. Also, I suppose it's worth mentioning that up until like 9th grade, I was this lobotomized troglodyte of an infant.
That's pathetic.
So it can definitely be said that even if I did try to put some thought into it, nothing but unrecognizable opinion goo would come out the other end. I never really tried having a favorite band or a favorite song. There were some exceptions, of course, like Move Along or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle theme.
Weird.
It wasn't until after 8th grade, starting into 9th grade, that I really started looking around online for music I enjoyed, typically finding eclectic songs through YouTube. This included songs like Little Dark Age, Sweater Weather, Pompeii, Seashells by the Seashore. Wait, what the hell? How did that get in there? And even some songs like Bohemian Rhapsody, Dynamite, and even some of Dream's early songs. Yeah, I know. I actually kind of like Mask and Road Trips. Sue me. Don't actually sue me. I can't afford it. There are others, but the point I'm making is that I was still all over the place. I didn't have one artist in particular I would relentlessly listen to, just this set of songs on loop over and over. However, this period of time was the start of an era of mine that lasted— oh my god, my voice. I'm getting sick, aren't I? No. Oh!
Excuse me.
However, this period of time was the start of an era of mine that lasted for a bit over 1 year, starting late 9th grade and ending at around the finish of 10th grade. Okay, stop the recording for a second. Side note here, I know I sound a lot more energetic in this part of the recording than I did like half a minute ago. It's because I recorded this like a week ago when I was having an existential crisis, but now I'm better, so enjoy this. This era was my musical revolution, a revolution that had significantly less casualties than the French Revolution. I wanted to become the guy who had a collection of the most unique and tonally different songs you could find. I would hear a song in the supermarket while shopping for my Adderall, or at the mall, or on the radio, and I would find them online and throw them onto the playlist like Timmy got thrown into my certified 2023 Ford Transit Connect XL. I actually got really good at finding them with minimal lyrics in a very short amount of time, and tons of background noise. I still actually have this skill. This continued for a while, but there was no sign of a particular band I liked. That was up until my 10th grade prom. And before you ask, yes, my date rejected me. Obviously. But other than my crippling loneliness, throughout my history, this prom was perfect. It had a system where people could suggest songs and get them played through the whole night. This was my chance to find so many songs I've never heard before.
Can you play
Move It, Move It
from the hit 2005 movie Madagascar?
And boy did I! I think I spent more of the night alone on my phone pacing the field typing in song lyrics than I did socializing, which I'm usually pretty content with, so don't you dare pity me. I dug this grave, now let me lie in it. And I added so many songs to the playlist. It was going well, but nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to hear. Some unnamed student at the school, a private legend, added AJR's Bang to the playlist.
I get up.
When that song came on, I got literal goosebumps, which is something a song had never really done to me before, unless it was cringe bumps, in which case I could name like 45 songs, but this was like fun bumps. My hypothalamus initiated so many goosebumps by signaling my adrenal gland, which activated my sympathetic nervous system, consequently stimulating the erector pili muscles located at the base of each hair follicle, which contracted those muscles, making my hair stand upright. Yeah, I was that kid in school. The song was so catchy that I actually started singing along to the chorus near the end of the song without ever having heard it before that night. It fit the mood of the night perfectly and felt like an incredibly badass and triumphant song.
I get up.
And man, did I fall in love with it. My wife was jealous because I was more in love with it than her. Another nail in the coffin of our dying marriage. I just had to add it to my playlist, and after some super sleuthing, I found it. The rest of the night wrapped up. Nothing really to talk about there since, you know. But when I got home that same night, I knew I had to hear it again. So I pulled it up on my phone and just vibed to it on loop for like a half an hour. Very great time management, I am aware. Eventually, I turned the loop off and YouTube's autoplay feature just automatically put me onto another AJR song, Bummerland. And this song yet again resonated with me in the exact same way Bang did. I began to wonder who this band was, so I went directly to their channel to see what all the hoopla was about. I then picked Way Less Sad at random, and once again got my ears absolutely baptized by the mythical production quality and relatability of the song.
Hello.
I went on a rampage after that, desperately trying to find one song from the album OK Orchestra that I didn't like, but I liked every single one. Every last song. It was at this point that it dawned on me. Yo, I think I found my favorite band. In the following weeks, I would go in not only to loop OK Orchestra, but also to listen to their songs from the previous albums, Neo Theater, and the album before that, The Click. There was actually this long period of time where I was too scared to keep going backwards in time through their albums, because I was afraid the quality would drop or I wouldn't like the songs, which, looking back on it, it shouldn't have mattered, but at the time, I think I felt like it would ruin the magic a little bit, you know? But I was a brave boy. I pulled up my big man diaper and trekked into the unknown each week, trying out another older song by them. And I can tell you that I was never disappointed. The quality was still exactly the same. The lyrics were scary relatable to things going on in my life at the time, and the sound was always super intriguing, especially with the spoke step bits. I really like the spoke step parts in those songs, and I still do, honestly. They never ever got bad. Okay, here's the thing. AJR, if you are seeing this, bring back spoke step. My feeble teenage heart yearns for more spoke step. I'm begging you, if I'm to die this year, my final request is a Big Mac from McDonald's, a Wish.com flash action figure, and a new spoke step AJR song. Please! I think part of my fixation with this group is definitely their relatable song topics. I've always been the type of person to internalize my inner conflicts, fears, and anxiety, but finding a musical group who openly discussed these topics in a concise and intriguing fashion, to a certain extent, made me feel like I wasn't the only one struggling. Made me feel accepted and unjudged for my feelings at the time, but you didn't ask for the trauma dump, so let's move on from that one. I don't think words describe how special an experience like that is until you actually have it happen to you, you know? So the fixation continued. Call me Jesse from Breaking Bad, but instead of consuming life-threatening amounts of methamphetamine, I was consuming various bangers from YouTube Music's auto playlist, slowly increasing my need for an audiologist every day because of the dangerous volume levels I was exposing myself to. Audiologist? I don't know, man, I ain't a scientist. So, I kept listening to their songs until I had heard every single one that I could find, and then, when I ran out of songs, I started watching their other content, old livestream VODs, their How We Made Our Song videos, and even snippets from their live performances and tour docs. I looked into the history of the band members, learning things about the three brothers, and finding different aspects of all three of them that I related to. Yeah, in hindsight, this was a little weird for me to borderline cyberstalk these guys, but I just couldn't get enough of their content and their messages. It was also around this time that I saw Ryan's live performance segment about how the brothers produced Weak, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever made at the time. In fact, it was so neat to me that I emulated their process they described in the video, and me, equipped with a late school assignment, Google Music Maker Online, and a dream, created Synthetic Strawberry, and eventually the entire Synth Saga. That's right, boys. 2 years later, I'm finally telling you how the frickin' Synth Saga came to be. It all came from watching AJR's How We Made Our Song segments on YouTube. Truly an inspirational backstory.
In fact, I still write, perform, and produce my own music and upload them to my music channel to this very day. Link in the description.
Yeah, shameless plug, I know, but it was perfect, man. You can't deny it. The setup was so undeniably perfect. You cannot hold me accountable for my actions. So I suppose it's safe to say I was in love with this band. But one thing I realized is that I became a fan after their latest album drop. At this point, I had not been around for a new album drop for this band, and then AJR released The DJ Is Crying for Help, and before that, I Won't. And I realized that they were following the same pattern as their previous album as far as uploading schedule was concerned. And I knew that they were in the process of creating what would become the first album I was present for the release for, and the first album I would hear in an actual concert? For months, I would wait for hints to drop on their YouTube Shorts, Twitter, and Instagram as to what their next songs would be, and what the name of the album would be. Eventually, they hinted that the album's initials were TMM. Man, I spent hours putting together a chart and a list of what the possible names could be. The Musical Men, The Mystical Musical, The Miracle Musical? Looking back on it, it was very Stan behavior. God, I was so cringe. There were so many names that fit the genre that it was hard to tell. For months, I watched theories from other fans speculating what the name could be, and I got so hyper-fixated that I purchased a Russian trapper hat from Amazon and wore it every single day for the rest of my school career. Do you think I'm lying? Ask literally anyone I went to school with. Not that you can, since you don't know who I am in real life, but they can probably tell you that I basically never skipped a single day without wearing that goddamn hat. I still wear it today, and not as often, but still frequently. I love that hat. Man, I just realized it's snowing outside my house. I like snow. Snow is cool. But then, tragedy struck. I discovered through all of my internet research and obsessive searching that people genuinely despise this group. Hate video after hate video after hate video describing why the band is absolute rubbish and how their music is childish, overproduced, or quote-unquote cancerous to listen to. Countless videos of hate. More hate than fan videos. This was insane. It's safe to say that I never completely agreed with everything these videos had to say, since most of the time they were just mindless shock value vids designed to rile up a small community for engagement, but it still hurt me a little bit to realize that this band got so much hate, and it was even worse to realize that some of their criticisms were genuinely valid. Now, this is probably where your smile fades from your face and you wonder, did this ruin the band for you a bit, BBA? Do you think less of the band now than you did before? And the answer would honestly be, without lying to myself and you, that Lamau, no! Who the hell cares what these morons think? They're just some random idiots on the internet who have nothing better to do with their time than insult someone else. What losers, am I right? This is kind of awkward. I think it's also important to acknowledge that it's okay to see the issues with something and still like it, instead of blindly following something and refusing to see its flaws, making you look like an ignorant acolyte to that thing or individual. A good example of this concept is the CW Flash show. There's nowhere to run. I love that show a lot, but I also agree with most of the criticisms it's received in its runtime, because they're true. That doesn't mean I hate that thing suddenly. It just shows that I have a comprehensive understanding of all aspects of that particular subject. I wish people would do this more, honestly, but anyway. So my fixation continued strong. If anything, it actually made me like the band more, knowing that I was one of their loyal supporters at the time, as their fan base was still relatively small. I would draw fan art in my notebook, entire collages with the band's logos, cartoons, themes, lyrics, and I would drill my friends' ears out talking about why I loved their songs. Man, I even got my sister and mom hooked on the band as well. This band was literally my entire personality, and it was closing in on that time that I've been waiting for oh so patiently. The time for them to drop the latest album. The months before the drop, I was so nervous to hear the songs, imagining what they'd sound like and what they would be about. Every time they released a snippet or a piece of a song that got leaked, I would edit the songs together into full versions that I could compare the real songs to when they came out to see how close I was. It was one of the most magical times of my school career, if you could even call it that, and it's an experience that I still hold dear and near to my soul to this day. Man, it's hard to get me into something, but once I'm into it, I commit, bruh. It was creeping up on time for the album to drop, but unfortunately, right before it came out, something incredibly tragic happened. This is something I'm not going to harp on very long, as I want this to be a respectful tribute and not a distasteful one, as it's a much sadder topic to focus on. I'd like to pay respect to AJR's father, Gary. I'd like to take a moment to appreciate him and his life and how much he did for his sons and their community. His impact will echo on forever in this community, so thank you, Gary. You will be missed greatly. Once the album released, there were so many emotions to process: excitement, intrigue, sadness, and so on. This album made me and so many others feel the emotions of what the brothers were going through in their lives, which once again served as context for events going on in our own. This is why I love AJR. They feel like I'm looking into a mirror that reflects my own thoughts and struggles. They make amazing songs with catchy lyrics and cool sounds. They've built up a close-knit community who all respect and care for one another and share similar passions. They were the band that I got my first real vinyl from. They were the first band I got merchandise from. They were the first band that I went to a concert for. Being at that concert, seeing the impact they made in a physical space, combined with their incredible showmanship, just reinforced my love for them tenfold. This band even introduced me to some of the artists I love to this day, like Boy With Uke, Daisy the Great, Quinn XC, II, among others. This will be the band that I blast on the radio while I pick up Timmy from school to embarrass him. This will be the band that I have a record collection of 20 years from now. This will be the band that I will go out of my way to see live whenever I can. This will be the band that I will try to collaborate with in a YouTube video if I ever blow up. This will be the band I forever look up to. Thank you, AJR. You have shown me how and why music brings people together in the way it does, something I never properly understood until finding you. You've helped me learn how to make my own music. You showed me how to look at my existence through a certain lens. You helped me work through dark patches in my life. You helped me become friends with people I otherwise would have never connected with under normal circumstances. You have been a larger help to people than you may realize, and this will always be my favorite band. Thank you, and of course, we can't wait to see what you do next.